tales involve ice cream, a campaign, an argument, and a pool. And they all include horses. Welcome to Quilted Tales, where quilting, strange stories, and weird history all meet in one spot. And trust me, it only gets weirder from here. For years, there's been a story floating around the South that horse thieves would carry an ice cream cone in their back pocket to lure their horses away. And before you laugh too hard, horses actually do have a sweet tooth, which means somebody, somewhere, looked at a horse and thought, you know what this animal needs? Ice cream. Nothing says criminal mastermind like sticky pockets and a confused horse. But let's be honest, if you're standing in the Georgia heat with an ice cream cone melting down the back of your pants, you're probably attracting ants faster than you're going to attract any kind of horse. And the thing I can't get past is that the plan apparently worked often enough that people kept telling the story, which means at some point a horse looked at a complete stranger holding an ice cream and thought, you know what? He seems trustworthy. Believe it or not, one of the strangest horse traditions started because of an argument in a pub. Someone claimed that a man could beat a horse over a long distance, which is exactly the kind of conversation that happens when nobody has access to Google. So instead of arguing about it, they organized a race, of course. And then they kept doing it, which is impressive commitment for what started as somebody saying, I bet you can't. And for years, the horses won, until one day a runner finally beat them, which means somebody eventually got to walk back into the pub and say, I told you so. Honestly, that's a long time to wait to win an argument. Somewhere along the way, somebody looked at a perfectly normal horse and thought, you know what this needs? A diving board. And now I'm guessing the horse didn't volunteer for the swim team, but somehow the idea made it all the way from a thought to an actual attraction. People would gather to watch the horses climb a ramp, walk out onto a platform, and dive into a pool. Which sounds less like entertainment, more like a sentence somebody made up after they were losing a bet. And that's the part I can't stop thinking about, because history is full of moments where somebody had an idea and nobody asked any follow-up questions. Nobody said, should we do this? Nobody said, why are we doing this? Everybody just looked at the horse, looked at the diving board and said, well, I guess we're doing this now. And just when you think horse stories can't get any stranger, there was a horse named Lucky, and he became the honorary mayor of a small town. Not because he campaigned, not because he had a platform, and certainly not because he promised to lower taxes. He was running against a cat, a dog, and a goat, and somehow Lucky won, which means a town full of people looked at a ballot full of animals and collectively decided, yep, the horse. And honestly, after some of the politicians we've seen over the years, I'm not completely convinced Lucky wasn't the least qualified candidate. At the very least, he stayed out of arguments, he avoided social media, and he never once gave a bad interview. And honestly, after everything we've talked about today, I think Lucky understood the assignment better than the humans did. If today's stories have taught us anything, is the horses were never the problem. The horses were simply standing there minding their own business while the humans made things really weird. While we were going through all the tales, I was able to pick out my fabric and iron it. And what I've chosen is a pink polka dot, this gray with some really nice texture, and then my third and final, the butterflies. So this will be called the Butterfly Quilt. The next is to choose your pattern and to go ahead and start cutting your fabric. And you know, once you start cutting it, there's no turning back. Until next time, stay curious.